Okay. The good person doing good works. Because I think that I am trying to be a good person doing good works, or the non-Christian person doing good works. And it's interesting, like you mentioned that perspective of like helping via like helping the needy, but not beyond here. And so I don't know, like my initial reaction is, of course, the usual, yeah, but is there anything more than here? But like, given the assumption that, let's say there is a God and there is a heaven, like, it doesn't hurt anyone to be clothed and fed and taken care of.
No, it doesn't hurt anyone.
And I would rather live in a world where people are clothed and fed and taken care of, at least. Because if heaven and God exist, then that is a prerequisite that is much better achieved in a world that can actually sustain itself.
Explain that last part again real quick. I lost you that last part. If there is a God in heaven,
then having everyone, because is that the goal? Having everyone believe in God?
Well, I believe that at the end of the age, everybody will declare that Jesus Christ is Lord. But no, I mean, not everybody's going to choose him.
Sure.
I mean, that's the goal
in, like,
I guess.
Evangelism.
Yeah. I mean, we want to tell everybody about Jesus.
Yeah.
As a Christian, it's not our job to get people saved. It's to tell them about Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus does the rest.
Okay.
That's kind of the idea behind it.
Sure.
But, okay.
And so you want people to believe in Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that in general, that's why I'm saying that's the goal.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is much better achieved in a world that is united, in a world that is taken care of, that is supported by other people, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's not the world we live in, though. Unfortunately.
But it can be.
When Jesus comes, it will be that way. But it can be
now. Because to use the quote from the Bible, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength.
Yeah, but non-Christians aren't following that.
Sure.
And that verse doesn't just mean like I can do anything I set my mind to because the strength of Christ is in me. Mm-hmm. Paul is actually, when he's saying that verse, he's just got done telling the Philippians that, hey, I've been beaten. I'm in prison. I've been stoned. Sure. They thought I was dead. I was not dead. Mm-hmm. Like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He's really talking about persecution right there, not like we can build a beautiful place. We can build a beautiful world. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a contextual thing there.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it would be great if we could all just hold hands and build a beautiful world. But that's never happened before, and it's not going to happen until Jesus comes.
And I find that to be a strange, like, I don't know, like, why is it that it's never happened before is a qualifier, I guess?
I mean, because we're still humans. We haven't changed. I mean, for the whole world to unite and be good, like, we would all have to be perfect. And we're not.
We wouldn't have to be perfect. We would have to be good enough.
But what's good enough?
It's there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Good enough for what?
For the goal of being united as a world.
But what's the qualifier of being good enough? Like not lying to your parents or not raping or...
I mean, we can start at the bottom.
I mean, I don't know. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. But I mean, the reason is not necessarily like we have similar like goals in that we don't want people to be raped or we don't want people to starve, correct?
Correct. I don't want that.
Why?
Why don't I want that? Because it's evil.
Okay.
And I want righteousness to prevail.
Yeah. But do you like because it's bad in general?
Yes, I would say that those things are bad. Yeah.
Okay. And you care about people.
Yeah, I care about people.
And so I care about people. I care about people more than anything. Love is my biggest thing. And so for me, I would rather the world be a better place for those people because I care about them. Someone in India that is starving and being beaten right now, I feel bad about. Just having conjured this imaginary person right now, I feel bad that that's a possibility. And I don't like it.
You shouldn't like it, so that's good.
So I mean, I'd rather create a world where that doesn't happen for that person. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's just like we can't do that.
We can do that for our communities.
Yeah.
Like we've done so in many communities.
Yeah.
And what's that mathematical rule of applying one thing to the other? Nope. Identity property?
I
It's
don't
not the
know.
identity
I don't like
property.
math, so
But either way, like, while in complex systems, the macro or the micro doesn't necessarily apply to the macro, and vice versa. It just makes it more difficult, if that makes sense.
I don't do math, so no.
But the intent that I have is to not have people suffer, not have people, increase human well-being in general. Because I care about those people. Whether or not I actually know them personally, I care about those people. And I feel bad whenever I know that there is a human suffering. So I could take it to the extreme of like extreme selfishness, which is I don't want to feel bad, therefore I'll help other humans. Or the extreme selflessness in that I cannot feel good in myself until every other human is no longer suffering.
So you're saying that you don't think you'll find satisfaction, like complete satisfaction, until you see everybody saved from suffering?
I mean, I'm not seeking complete satisfaction anyways, but
You're not?
no, I'm fine. That's my second thing, that it's going to be okay, and it is okay. That okay is okay.
Okay.
And that, because to reach that like ultimate satisfaction is fleeting. It's a moment, and it's more math. Are you familiar with the asymptote, which is the curved line that slowly approaches the in my brain it's approaching 0, because the curved line approaches vertically and then slowly goes horizontally until, like, if you look at the decimal places, they just keep like getting smaller and smaller, because it never actually reaches 0, but it just gets like closer and closer.
But for the Christian, like for me, I would say that I am completely satisfied in Christ. And that's not fleeting, especially when I have died and I've been resurrected with him and I meet him face to face and I'm with him for eternity.
Sure.
That's not a fleeting satisfaction.
Yeah.
I would agree that the satisfactions of this world are fleeting. Mm-hmm. And that's why they leave you feeling empty when they're gone. Mm-hmm. But like it is my goal to be completely satisfied. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I do believe that I have that in Jesus.
But it's not my goal to be completely satisfied. Like, I don't care if I burn in hell for all eternity if I didn't help people.
I think you'd care.
But I don't.
That's kind of the point. It's not like, in the whole concept of hell, it's not just like, oh, we're just going to, burn in hell and drink and be merry. What's bad about hell is that
the
it's
absence of God.
Yeah, being separated from Jesus.
Yes. I was raised Catholic, and I know my Christianity well enough to, if someone were to like put me in the opposite role, I think I would defend it better than a high schooler.
Okay.
But am I not already there?
What?
In the absence of God?
No.
Okay. Because
you're actually in the presence of God, because I have the Holy Spirit in me.
I'm alive, and there's yes, and the Holy Spirit that's throughout all of the world, etc. And yeah, no, like that's a good thing that the world is great. But I don't mind. Like, and maybe that's what's harder to, I guess, convince me, but like, I don't mind. Maybe I'm desensitized, or maybe like I'd rather care about people.
What makes you think that, like, believing in God or being a Christian, like, you couldn't still care about people? Or what makes not believing in God?
No, I never said that either.
Okay.
I think that...
But you would rather care about people than
I think
believe
that...
in God? Or I guess, why don't you believe in God? You've asked me why I'm a Christian, so why don't you believe in God? Why are you an atheist?
The evidence does not stack up in my brain.
Okay.
To get entirely like Descartes and like existential about it, that Descartes had to like think away everything that he knew in order to reach the bottom of like what even is existence. And so that's why Togito ergo sum, is that
I don't know.
I think therefore I am is Descartes. I think I said the first word wrong, but I think therefore I am, which is all the pencils are falling out of my pocket. But what that is an exploration of what we know, or what the mind knows. So this is all I know. And as a being that has to exist in the universe, I can't base my existence on anything else outside of the information that I have and the evidence that is provided, and the information based on context that drives my understanding of whether or not things are true or not. And so if I get hit over the head, it hurts. And I know that, because that is my experience within that. And whether or not it's real to anyone else, it's real to me, and I experienced it. And so going from that is that in the like amount of information that we're receiving in the universe, the information that we're receiving, that, you know, what things are true and what things aren't. When I talk into this microphone and I see that the signal isn't high enough, then I, you know, try and like, it was true to me that the signal wasn't high enough, and so I tried to fix it. Like, there's truth in that. And whether or not we are actually talking into these microphones, or we are not just brains in vats, that it's true to me, and that's what drives my experience. Digressing from that whole existential garbage, if you will, other information, we have to determine whether or not it's true or false. And so belief shapes our behavior and shapes how we exist within ourselves and the rest of the world as we know it. And that's an annoying, like, add-on to every sentence, so I'm just not going to say as we know it after this point. But what was the example that I used with another friend? But let's say having the belief that that my car is in the parking lot over past the ballpark shapes my behavior differently than if I believed my car was parked over by Harkins. And it shapes my behavior in that whenever we're done here, I will walk to like past the ballpark rather than towards Harkins. That belief shapes my behavior. Right now, I don't have any information to tell me otherwise because I can't see the car, but last I remember, I parked my car there. And so beliefs shape how you exist in the world, or at least how I exist in the world. And so the more information that I access, the more I try to determine what is true and what isn't. So someone telling me that, let's go with something fluffier, like my mom tells me she loves me. And, you know, that's that's something a little bit less concrete than, you know, being hit over the head or knowing where my car is. Mm-hmm. But like having my mom tell me that she loves me, I at least have context clues from living with my mom and her showing me that she does love me through what she does and whatever my brain's definition of love is. And so after a while, I'm able to determine my mom does love me. Even though it's not as solid. As opposed to when someone tells you that the exit was 117B and you still have your GPS open and it's saying 117A, but you take 117B anyways, and then you're like, oh, wait, now I'm going the wrong way. And like, then you have reason to believe that what that person told you wasn't true. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so going with like truth or false, I generally determine that stuff based on probability. Because it's unwise to say I know or I do not. Because I don't know. That's my third thing. I might be wrong. That I don't know for certain anything, but I know pretty well a few things that at least through my existence, I can pick something up and drop it and it will fall. And while I can't, you know, theoretically, there's still like the tiniest percentage of chances that whenever I let go of the thing that it won't fall due to particle physics and whatever winds are going out or whatever, but like that I'm pretty darn certain that whenever I let go of a thing, it will fall. And so the more information that I receive, the more that probabilities change in my head. And so the more information that I have received about certain things, like Radiohead is a very good band, and the more that I listen to them, the more that feels pretty certain in my brain. But also with, you know, whether or not there is a God or an afterlife or a soul or any of that for that matter, because with the information that I have taken in, the probabilities are lowering even more for those things in my mind. And so, yes, again, while it's unwise to say, there is no God, there is no heaven, there is no afterlife, when you die, or whatever. But in my mind, I have a level of probability enough for me to believe, at least me personally, that there's probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Okay. So you don't believe in God. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Jesus? Was he real? Is he someone we've made up?
Okay. So
what was he?
And this is
liar, prophet, king.
I've read C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. Whenever I was still like in my like doubting phase or whatever, mm-hmm. But and I think at that extent I don't remember what my determination or like what I determined from that, but it was basically like it was easy philosophy to swallow, as opposed to like, not that I've personally read Descartes, but I understand a little bit. But anyways, that that the information that I've received, I have a few conclusions that at least me personally, I have arrived at, which isn't to say that I find anyone else that does believe or whatever is like inferior or something, because I don't want those judgments to be made based on things that I do believe.
Yeah.
But based on the information that I've received, to me, it's unlikely that Jesus ever existed. And that's just me personally, because I don't like saying it out loud because people get angry.
Okay.
And then
Why do you think that, though?
Historical documents and the people that wrote about Jesus wrote sometime after Jesus had lived, and none of the actual historical writings that have actually survived, which is quite a bit, none of those writers wrote about Jesus at the specific time that Jesus was said to be alive. The only writings came afterwards.
But the Old Testament was before Jesus, because Jesus had the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But as far as like historical writings go, it seems unclear and to me unlikely that Jesus existed, because the historical accounts, like historical writers that have accounted of a physical Jesus person, were sometime later, and there's potential bias.
Okay.
However, I find that the teachings of Jesus are incredibly important, and that there are values there that we should all accept. There are values in the Bible that we should all accept. And there's also some things in the Bible that are like questionable. But Jesus as an idea or as a prophet or as a teacher, what was taught is generally good stuff. Which is why my first thing comes from the Bible. Comes from Paul, but comes from the Bible. Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah, with the rest of my everything else, like God, again, the probabilities and science in general seem to drive that probability down. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, am I
Yeah.
wrong?
Well, I think you're wrong.
Sure, that's fine.
But like, it's not that you just said, I don't believe that Jesus existed just because. Mm-hmm. Like, you've searched. Mm-hmm. And so, but so have I. So, so I always think that's crazy how like we're all people and we all think so differently. It's crazy. But
I generally have the qualifier of like, I don't want people to think that I think X about them because they're Christians, because I'm an atheist. Like,
yeah.
I care about people. That love is the meaning of life. And so anything that will put a barrier between me and having someone improve their life, or like me improve their life, or it's being some mutual respect and improvement in each other's lives, I don't want that to be restricted by anything that they assume that I believe about them or vice versa.
Yeah. So if love is the most important thing, what is love?
This is where stuff gets like sad, I guess, from like a scientific perspective. If you have the perspective of like that love is like this like good feeling that drives spirituality, but love is a part of our experience. So in the same way that I feel pain when I'm hit over the head, I also experience love towards other human beings, which I think comes from, there's like this whole other like science, natural selection thing behind it, but that humans have evolved to love, which is contrary to the common perception that humans are evil, warmongering hate beasts. Because if we were evil, warmongering hate beasts, then we wouldn't, like, there's just evidence in us as humans now, and then evidence in, like, fossil records and hunter-gatherer societies, which are closer to the primordial human and bonobos. But the first example I think of is humans need other people. Literally. Like, not even on a, like, I feel bad whenever, like, I'm alone. But, like, human brains start to deteriorate without other humans. That's what happens to people in solitary confinement in prisons. They start to go insane. Their brain, like, functions poorly. In the same way, if a human baby is left untouched, it dies. Humans need people.
Yeah.
Humans need love.
Why?
That's the way we have evolved, because the way that we would have survived as a tribe. We survived as tribes. Generally, the, like, commune perspective that if there's a role that I can't fill well with someone else, we can do twice the amount of work and half the amount of effort. And so, I mean, general strength in numbers that way, that we have adapted to require each other, which is why we're not like, we don't have claws or sharp teeth, or, we can run really far. But if we were meant to live alone, we would have evolved differently. We would all be like recluses. Recluses?
Yeah.
That's the correct pronunciation of the syllables. So, yeah, like, humans have adapted to love each other because it helped us survive. Therefore, it feels good to have human contact. It's one then the other. We benefit from working together, therefore working together feels good. In the same way that we receive a positive sensation when we look at a baby that has a big head and big eyes and small everything else, because if natural selection hadn't eventually selected for that kind of behavior, humans would have just not cared about babies because they're loud, annoying, dirty things. And so, like, once that behavior, like, kept trending, it was expounded upon because it helped humanity survive as a whole. In the same way that the reaction of, hey, human baby cute, I'll take care of it. The same way, hey, I like other humans, this is good for me. Love.
Okay. So you think it's just something that we kind of evolved, and that love is more of just kind of like a natural state?
It's something that we are required to have fulfilling lives because our brains require it to be successful at what they do.
Okay.
Which is not to say that there's no meaning. Meaning either is nothingness if you want to take the entire like nihilistic approach, but we do create our own meaning. And so you care about Demi Lovato more than I do, at least her music. And you derive that meaning based on your experience that you have had with her music. Forgive me if I made an incorrect assumption that you like Demi Lovato.
I like Stone Cold.
Okay. That was where I got that example from.
I wouldn't say I'm like a fan per se, but
well, you like the song.
yeah.
And that has more meaning to you than it does to me, because I don't know the song, nor am I particularly fond of Demi Lovato, but props to whoever wrote that song. So we create meaning in the things that we have around us, because it also benefits our lives. Because we do have to determine what is important and what isn't. Going all the way back to, whether or not I should eat this plant or eat this plant. Eat this plant, I get sick and throw up for 2 days. Eat this plant, I feel really good. So the meaning derived from that is this plant is good, this plant is bad. And that goes up to everything else that has meaning in our lives.
All right.
Am I projecting anything that is invalid or anything?
I think we just have different interpretations of things.
Sure.
So, yeah. I would say, I don't know. I still ask the question, but what is love? What makes you want to care about people? What makes you, is that just something in you? Is that, what makes you feel like that will, if you do that, you'll be successful?
Because when I make another person smile, it makes me feel good.
Okay.
That is true to my experience.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that's pretty normal too.
Yeah. Good. I hope it's normal.
Yeah.
And so through everything else, I care about other human beings. I care about the, again, hypothetical starving, beaten person in India that, again, my heart weeps for, figuratively, but because my brain has both reactions. Whenever I make a person smile, it makes me feel good. Whenever I hurt another person, it makes me feel bad. So I generally, at least for myself, try to make people feel good, and feel content in their lives and have their lives together, rather than just have some temporary fleeting moment of, hey, this is great, and then go right back to suffering. And I want to reduce the amount of suffering in the world, because it makes me feel good, feel less bad, and it makes them feel good and less bad.
All right.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think, like, you obviously have a lot of compassion for people, and, like, the world would be a better place if more people had that compassion that you have. Like, I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
But I just in my own mind, I just always come back to, you know, like, when I'm on my deathbed, like, what was the point of all of it? And that's just kind of the question I want to be able to answer. And so, how would you answer that question?
That I made an impact on the world, that I made people smile, I reduced suffering, and that I have the people around me that I care about, and that I've lived a good, fulfilled life, and it's okay. Yeah, because those relationships are meaningful to me, and so and I do make a point to make those relationships good. So I mean, I'll be fine then if I did that much. Will I be, like, kind of disappointed that I didn't end world hunger or something? I mean, to an extent, but, like, I'm just a dude. But I mean, it's fine. I'm fine. I will be fine. I have been fine. And there are moments where I'm not. And I take comfort in the fact that soon there will be a moment where I am again. I'm happy. And I think I will be happy. 'Cause I'm okay if I died right now. Like, brain aneurysm, I died right now or whatever. I don't have regrets. Because regret's a silly emotion. There's nothing I can do about it anyways. Because it's back there. So, I mean, this is all I know. And I'm okay with it. And I'm happy with it.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I keep asking that question because my brain strives for reason. Because my brain does not like it whenever things don't make sense.
Yeah. And, like, it does make sense because I know where you're coming from, but it doesn't make sense to me personally.
Because I haven't had your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay. And I don't want to live my life telling other people that they're wrong. Because that doesn't make people very happy. I will do that to people who are willing to listen to that, but I wouldn't feel very good about it either. But
I don't want to live my life telling people they're wrong either.
Yeah.
I want to live my life loving people.
Exactly.
And I believe I do that when I share the gospel.
And I'm glad.
So So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think I'm trying to tell you you're wrong. Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
I do believe I loved you this evening by telling you the gospel.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm glad that you did. Humans want to understand each other.
I would say that is correct. But I think more than that, we all want to be right too.
Yeah. Because, again, our brains don't like it whenever, like, there's a disconnect. Again, signal goes in, everything looks fine. That doesn't look fine. And so, something doesn't make sense and I have to fix it. Not even so much for the fact that I need better audio for the podcast, but kind of more because why does this thing not make sense? And I feel like that's with everything.
Yeah.
That if you put a coin into the machine that says, here's your drink afterwards, and it doesn't give you a drink, there is dissonance there. And your brain will be happy about it, at least for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Till you forget about it and you're distracted by something else. But, yeah. I don't want to drive people away with that perspective, with this perspective of, like, there's no God or no heaven or no soul or whatever, because with the general cultural context that we have where we are, it's generally frowned upon. But what I do want to go around telling people is that loving everyone unconditionally, not in an eros type of love, but an agape type of love, that will fulfill your life more than, I don't know, smoking weed every day. So, I mean, that's what I want to drive. The positive point, not necessarily the negative one. And so I want you to feel okay that if I'm trying to do good in the world, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you to stop. No, I think, like I said before, your compassion for people is inspiring and admirable. Mm-hmm. We love people and have compassion for people for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't tell you to stop. But, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't driven away from the church from hatred. I was driven away because I felt like it didn't love enough. And so I wanted to love more.
It's made up of people.
Yeah.
So.
People suck sometimes, but people can also be really great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the beliefs that I do hold, that I feel like I do want to challenge people on. That when people say that, oh, like, people are bad and world peace will never be achieved and there's nothing that you can do about people hurting each other or whatever, that I think is generally perpetuating the people hurting each other and people continuing to be bad. Because as long as you believe something to be true, it changes your behavior and it changes the behavior around you. So if we were to believe that, like, yeah, there's no denying there's some awful stuff in the world, but you can't deny the awesomeness that there is and the awesomeness that there can be and that we can do. So, I mean, you can go all night saying, like, God is love and Jesus and everything, and I will be just fine. But as soon as you try to tell me that, like, humanity is incapable of loving one another, that's when I have dissonance.
And I would say that humanity with God is capable of loving each
Sure.
other. But I do believe that humanity in itself, without God, without the grace of God, I do believe we were born wicked. But I've studied that in the Bible.
Yeah.
So that's where I get that from.
Yeah. I try my
But-
best. I try my best to be a good person. I try my best to not judge people. I try my best to be helpful to other people. I try my best to not drink coffee or do any substances. I try my best to, like, I don't know, do, like, work as hard as I can in everything that I do. So if there's something good that I'm missing that I can't do without God, I don't know what it is. Because I've been a better person since I've arrived at my three things. So, I mean, I don't know what good I'm incapable of. I would die for you. I would die for the same hypothetical Indian person. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, I believe you too.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know what else I can do. So yeah, am I a good person? I hope.
I would say yeah.
Thank you. And I would say you are too. Yeah. Thank you for bearing with my and I don't know, thank you for, well, doing the podcast, because I appreciate talking to
No,
people.
this was fun. This was really good. I've enjoyed it.
Okay. And I'm sorry that I spoke most of the time during this one.
No, it's okay. No, this was good discussion. It was good.
But also you asked.
Yes, I did. I did ask.
Is there anything else that you want to ask, or anything else that you wanted to say?
I would say that I just want to make sure that, like, what I believe is clear to anybody listening. But I would say that, you know, you said that you think I'm a good person. And I would say that all the good that you see in me has nothing to do with me.
Sure.
And so that's what I would say to that.
Sure. Unrelated question that I am taking from a different podcast.
Okay.
Because it's just a good question. And it's a hard question. It's more fun that I'm building it up like this. It's a hard question, but you don't have to stand by your answer. You just have to stand by your answer right now. What is the best song written in the last 100 years?
Best song written in the last 100 years. Like overall?
Yeah. So I guess that would be 1916
Man.
to 2016.
I'm just going to go with a song that never gets old and I could jam out to any time. And Somebody to Love by Queen. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you watch Freddie Mercury sing it live, banging out on his piano with like just beer all over his piano and he sounds amazing and you're like, how does he do that? That's a pretty awesome song. So
Yeah.
I'd have to say Somebody to Love.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then instead of the advice that you have for people, let's go with what's something that you want people to listen to or watch or something that's like, man, I just watched this movie and it was really good or whatever.
Okay. I'll do something to listen to and watch and read. How's that? If you haven't read the Chronicles of Narnia, you have to. I just read all of them this summer, and I'd read like the first 3 before, but never the whole series.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, they're amazing. Something to watch, Stranger Things.
Yes.
So good.
Definitely.
And then something to listen to, I'm going to say, I'm going to give you an artist, Misty Edwards.
Cool.
And she really influenced my life. And so her music is kind of my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
So that's who I'd recommend, Misty Edwards.
Yeah. And since this is a different podcast, you do have to plug your things again.
Oh, plug my things. Okay. CiaraReeseMusic.com. Ciara Reese on Facebook. On SoundCloud. I'm on Noise Trade. You can download my single. And the proceeds go to my mission trip to Haiti this December. And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Ciara Brook _.
Cool.
So those are my things.
Yeah. Listen to her music. She's a really good singer.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like, no, yeah, you're a really good singer.
Thank you very much.
And every time that like you like play something or sing something in like the classes that we're in, like there is sort of like a palpable like in the room that's, man, that was good. Like,
Wow. Thank you very much.
And then I'm Santiago Ramones. You can find all my things at santiagoramones.com. I make music, mostly background music on my SoundCloud, which you can find through my website, and this podcast. Also, if you make video games, hit me up because I need to make music for that. And I always end with my 3 things, which is love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong. Thanks for listening.